Automation nation, automation nation, automation nation, around the nation, automation nation, automation nation, automation nation, around the nation, around the nation, around the nation. Welcome to the Automation Nation podcast, the show for business leaders, tech aficionados, and those who are just simply curious about where technology and business are going. Automation Nation is your gateway to understanding automation, AI, and the future of business. Don't get left behind. Tune in now and subscribe for more. Welcome, ladies and other Automation Nation conversation. Got my guest, Mr. Henry Huie, here with me today. We're going to be talking about automation and technology in the accounting space and how you can win with your numbers and in your numbers by using technology the right way. Henry, I know technology. I know we're in this new age here, and technology is fascinating. It's as fascinating as ChatGPT was when it jumped on the scene, getting its first 1 million subscribers at the fastest rate ever. But at the same time, with all this amazing stuff going on, Henry, it can be quite confusing, sir.
Yes, I agree.
So it's great to have people like yourself who can help maybe lay things out in layman's terms, we like to say sometimes, and make it easy to understand. I'm gonna read a little bit about your bio here on LinkedIn. You keep it real short and sweet here too. You say a CPA with several years experience in public accounting and tax experience, building an accounting firm that is built on providing premier value versus billable hours. That's an interesting concept. We're going to come to this during our conversation. Premier value, so providing premier value versus billable hours, utilizing the latest technology and getting back to the fundamentals and providing professional services, helping folks win. Henry, thank you for being here on the Automation Nation podcast.
Thank you for having me, Rob.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man. My pleasure. And your company, your company too. We're talking. So I'm Henry Huie, CPA, helping business owners earn more and work less. Helping business owners earn more and work less by, I like that, man. Earn more and work less. Henry, is that actually possible? Actually, is that a possible thing you're talking about today?
Absolutely. I mean, that was always my goal growing up, was as you move up the ranks that you should be earning more since you know more and you're doing more higher level things, and you should be what I call working less. And unfortunately, in the public accounting space, it seems like it's you usually make more as you move up, but then you also work more. And so for some people that works out, but for me, like, that wasn't my vision. My vision was to make more and earn less. And it may come across as lazy. Some people will call it efficient. You can call it whatever you want, but that's the goal.
Some call it lazy, some call it efficient. I like those are such different extremes, but I know what you're saying. That's good,
Yeah.
man. Henry, we're powered by Simply Automate. So we ask all of our guests this first question. Every guest we ask this first question. If you could simply automate one thing in your personal life, what would that be?
In my personal life, I wish exercise was automatic. I mean, you can see some weights behind me, and it takes work, right? I wish I wish I could set up some technology or whatever it would be, and I would get the benefits of exercising without having to do the hard work.
Oh my goodness. That's actually the first, out of all the episodes, that's the first time someone said that. We normally get cooking dinner, the dishes, driving kids to school. Somebody even said making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But man, that's a good one. You said That's a good one there. Get the exercise
Yeah.
in. They're probably trying to come up with some kind of pill for that right now.
Oh yeah, that's funny that you said that. I just read something today. It goes, if exercise was in a pill form, that would be the number one like most drug that people would be addicted to.
Shh, don't tell Big Farm. Shh, nobody tell Big Farm. Shh. Our secret, man.
Yeah.
Henry, man, let's talk about you. How'd you get involved in this thing, man? Let's talk about what inspired you and your background, man. Let's get into that a little bit because it's always exciting to find out what brought people to where they are. You know?
Oh, I mean, growing up, my parents, I would consider them, I guess, I mean, they're immigrants, so they grew up kind of broke, less fortunate, whatever you want to call it. So I've been obsessed with numbers, obsessed with money, um, because it seems like we never had any. So I always paid attention to it. And it's like, what better way to learn about money, pay attention to money, than to get into finance? So I went into finance, graduated in 2007, tried to look for work in 2008. We all know what happened in 2008. So I went back to school in something a little more stable, which was accounting, and got influenced to go into Big Four, which I get. They're the largest firms in the country, in the world, in terms of accounting. So I went and did audit, and I also did audit was because I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do, and everybody said if you don't know what you want to do, go into audit. It's really broad. So I went into audit for a couple of years. Then I went into a local firm for a couple of years that ended up getting bought out by a top 25 firm. And then I realized, like, wow, I really do not like audit. And instead of going into industry, I just decided to go into tax. And because my friend decided to go in tax, and he said you can start your own business. And ultimately, that was my goal, was to have my own business. You couldn't really start your own business with auditing. You could, it's just a little more difficult. So I transitioned to tax and have been in tax for the last 5 years. I worked in that local firm that got bought out by a top 25 firm. And then COVID happened. And I got to work from home. I had a daughter that was 1 year old at that time. I got to see her grow up. I still was able to do my work. I didn't have to commute. I didn't have to get ready. And I'm just like, wow, my mind was just like mind blown.
The great awakening, man.
Oh my God. Like, I mean, I worked 80 plus hours in Big Four. I mean, I worked 55 plus hours at the top 25 firm. And, that's a lot of hours during a week. But in our profession, we just think it's just normal because it is. And when you talk to other people, like my wife, she's like, why are you working so much and you're getting paid? God, how much was I making paid? I started getting paid $48,000 a year, working 80 plus hours a week. And then am I at the top 25 firm at the peak? I think I was making like $67,000, still working 55 hours a week. And that was like throughout almost the whole year. I mean, yeah, there was some dead time throughout the year, but it was, it didn't have like a busy season. It felt like it was kind of busy all year long. And then I found a remote firm in California and got paid California wages. I was able to still work remote. And then we had a second kid. That was another thing. We had a second kid on the way, and I was like, I got to start making some more money. And I asked my firm, and they were like, you're like at the upper end of the salary spectrum for your position. And I'm just
you're
like,
you're at the ceiling, odd, and it's a glass one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, well, I found some place else that's going to pay me more. They didn't believe me and allow me to work remote. So I left, did that for a couple of years. And I realized, like, God, I know my stuff. Like, I got really confident in what I could do. And I just didn't understand the correlation between the value I was providing with the time I put in, because it's based off billable hours. And I was like, how does that make sense? And of course you ask, and they're like, well, that's just how the model works. Like, totally fine. You're the business owner. So I was like, I have to start my own thing if I want to do what I say, which is earn more and work less. And so here I am. What is it? 9 months, 6 months, October. What is that? About 7, 8 months. Can't do the math that quick in my head. I gotta use Excel or something. But yeah, so now I feel like I'm like living what my vision is. And so it's been a fantastic journey so far. I'm constantly learning. I get to do things like this. I'm not sure if my previous firms would allow me to go on things like this, nor I don't even know if you would have even known me if I was still working at another firm.
Yep. Very, very interesting. This internet and this this network and LinkedIn and what's possible once you step outside. But this is really the best thing you can possibly do for yourself and for your companies. Get online and start talking about what you're doing, providing value to people, because there's so much information
Yes.
out there. You can get everything off the internet. Google, ChatGPT will give you everything you need to know, but it's like a fire hose.
Oh
And
yeah.
so when it comes to understanding what to do exactly and being efficient, you need somebody like yourself who can understand the fire hose and then can take that fire hose down and put it into a straw, nice safe straw for you to drink through. You
Yep.
know,
Absolutely.
that's good, man. That's good. Because funny, that was my question here. Like, what inspired you to prioritize? Doing value over billable. But you know why? Because you worked so many hours and you saw what it was like working so many hours. But you realize the value that needs to be brought. You realize it's all about the value exchange, not about the hours you're putting in. It's about the value and what you can deliver, man. So is that did I summarize that right?
Uh, Part of it, there's more to it. I mean, part of it
Yeah.
is just like I realize like what we provide is the value, as opposed to the hours. A big thing for me was I talked to a lot of I talked to a lot of my family. They're older, aunts, uncles, parents, and I talked to one aunt, and she was a nurse, and she was getting paid really, really well in California. And this was, I don't know, back, doesn't even really matter what the time was, but she worked a lot and she wanted to provide for her family. But she regrets working so much because as a nurse, she can always take on more shifts, make overtime. And she really regretted not spending as much time with her kids when they were young. And so, like, if I'm going to ask for advice, I should probably take it. And that made sense to me, was to spend more time with your kids while they're young, especially up until age 5, because after age 5 they start going to school, and the amount of time you spend with them is going to be like completely it starts going downhill. Yeah, you could change that from just based off data. That's what happens, right? You go to school until they're 18, and they'll probably go up to college. And also when they're older, like even after school, like, it's not like they want to hang out with you. I mean, you
Right.
hope they do, but they're going to have
Yeah.
their own friends. And so I put time over money. Don't get me wrong. I still need to make money, but after a
Right.
certain amount, like, I'm like, you could pay me more money. Like at my previous firm in California, I took a pay cut. I went down to 80% hours and 80% pay cut, because I was like, I don't really need the extra money. Could I use the extra money? Sure, but I want to spend more time with my family,
Right.
and that was the goal. But with inflation also coming, like, you also have to start that minimum threshold kept kind of going up with inflation. So I was like, I got to start making a little bit more money. But
Mm-hmm.
my focus has always been on time. I mean, time is your most precious commodity, resource, whatever you want to call it. And
Yeah.
so that's why I chose value over billable hours. And
Yeah.
also, that's just, if you look at the market, that's just what it is, right? Like, I always ask
Mm-hmm.
people, if you spent 60 hours on a project for the client and it didn't get done, like, they don't care you spent 60 hours.
Right.
If you spent 20 hours, or let's just say 5 hours, and it got
Right.
done, they're happy as a clam. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they just want the end result. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like with billable hours, we kind of set them up, like, we give them like a estimated hours time, and then if you get it done faster by utilizing technology, automation, whatever it is, like, then they're going to be saying, like, shouldn't this be cheaper because you got it in less time? But you have a different incentive where you probably want to pad those hours and, like,
Mm-hmm.
have it be, so to speak, inefficient, to say, see, like, we quoted you 20 hours, it took you 25 hours, so we're going to write off 5, so it justifies the cost, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
just giving them a flat price. It's going to get done, and whether I take 5 hours or 60 hours, like, you get that end result that you want.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Let's talk about how technology has enhanced your firm's operations. Like, how has technology worked for you per se? Let's talk about that.
Oh, for me personally, so I use TaxDome, and TaxDome kind of encompasses a lot of things that a tax firm would need. The engagement letters are, like, in a way, like, yeah, you can set up for it to be automated, so it gets sent to the client. They can e-sign it with KBA signatures. It is one source or one location to upload all the client data. There's also secure messaging on there. There's also they can also pay with a credit card or a check on there as well. So it's just like a central hub for everything. And so for me, it helps out so much because because people ask me like, oh, what do you use for engagement letters? I already have it on there. Oh, how do you have them signed? Do you use DocuSign? Do you do this? So it's like a whole bunch of different technologies all up in one. And so that's helped me a lot in just like the basic operations of things. There's another program that I used in my previous firm that I haven't implemented yet, but there's something called AutoFlow or SurePrep. And eventually I'm going to get that. And what it does just takes the data from the client, government forms, and then it flows into this software. It organizes it for you and inputs it into your tax software. And all you have to do is review it. And so the bulk of the work is pretty much done for you. What else in terms of technology? I haven't fully utilized AI and automation just yet. I just started learning more about the automation, like whatever Microsoft's version is, like Power Automate or something like that.
Power Automate,
Yep. Yeah, so there's that. But Taxum does quite a bit for me.
Good.
And then
good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what are let's talk about some of those core principles, of your services. Then what do you focus on? I know you help with technology, you help with a plethora of things. Let's talk about what those particular services are that you at Chrome Accounting offer.
Yeah, so I want to be known as their tax advisor. So I focus on taxes primarily, tax planning, tax advisory, and help them minimize or eliminate their tax throughout the year. In addition to that, with that, you have to have a good foundation of bookkeeping. So we could help for bookkeeping, or at least refer you to somebody that can help you with your bookkeeping. My ultimate goal, my ideal client would be to help them grow their service-based businesses, which is primarily for me, like professional services, doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, insurance agents, or real estate investors, to help grow their business and then help them exit their business. Obviously, the professional services is going to be a more likely candidate for an exit as opposed to a real estate investor. The real estate investor is going to be obviously their properties, but to help them throughout the whole timeline. Like, I work with a lot of young entrepreneurs that are growing their businesses, and I'm trying to help them see like the end game where they build their business, where they can remove themselves, and increase the value of business and eventually sell it once they're ready. And for real estate investors, most of them are like real estate agents, so they make their money selling houses or flipping houses. But that business itself can't really be sellable, so they also need to be investing in their properties. And so helping them identify some good investment properties and looking at the tax implications of those, so they can see the end of like, oh, in 20 years when I have all these properties, I don't have to keep selling houses, I don't have to keep flipping houses. And same with professional services is, once you have that business up and running and you can be removed from the business, there's still value in the actual business that you can sell for multiples of your business.
So true.
So
yeah, that's good. Let's talk about some problems, man. I like pros and I like cons. Let's talk about some challenges.
Okay.
What are some of those challenges, man, in building a firm and at this part of the 21st century, huh?
Really hard. I mean, if anything, the challenges are like we have too many options.
Oh my God.
There's so much technology.
Yes.
I've been to three accounting conferences, and there is, everybody I think knows QuickBooks, and then within QuickBooks are like, oh, here's these other apps that can like integrate with QuickBooks. Like, for example, Taxum. Taxum kind of groups it all in together, and some people think like you can't be good at all these different things. And so, yeah, I think the challenge is finding the right technology for you as you grow and what fits your business. I'm a smaller firm that's starting up, so I think Taxum was fine. But once you start building your firm and it starts getting bigger, I know people have really liked Ignition, the app for that, and just different practice management. So I think, the biggest challenge with being tech forward is just which ones to use. I mean, most of my clients are younger entrepreneurs, so they're used to the technology. I would say like, okay, I guess, I mean, I don't have that many. I have a couple of, we'll call them seasoned clients, and they're not as tech forward, and they want to send me a check, or they want to meet in person, or they want a copy of their tax return. And I got to like run out to Kinko's and print it out with a library. Actually, I went to Kinko's and they couldn't even print it out for me because they're like, oh, our printer's broken. I'm like, what? Anyways, I went to the library. Yeah, that happened. I'm sure if I went to another UPS or Kinko store, it wouldn't happen. But I had to go print it out. Some of them wanted to meet in person. Somebody wants a pay and check, which isn't a huge deal because they can send it. And I can always take a mobile picture. But to me, that would be the challenges. But for some firms, that's just normal operations. I'm just so used to everything being virtual, online. I get paid. Like, I do the work online. I talk to them on the phone. We'll have a Zoom call sometimes if they wanted to. I get their stuff done. I use Loom. Sometimes I don't even talk to them. I just talk to them through the video and they'll respond with an email. And then I see money going into my account. I mean, like, it's like, I feel like it's like shooting fish in a barrel sometimes.
Yeah.
Because in our profession, if you know, like, I don't know if you have a CPA, like, do you have a CPA?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Were they hard to find? Have you had them for a while?
For our company, we've had them for a while. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's good. But I encounter a lot of people that are having trouble finding a good CPA. And so, like, it hasn't really been difficult in terms of finding clients. Maybe finding good clients can be challenging, but just finding clients in general. But the work itself is always there. And then the technology, how I operate, because I learn from other people. It's really smooth. And technology has been a big part of it. So I'm not seeing that many challenges other than, like I said, too many options or people that aren't. Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest one.
That's good. Everyone kind of moves into the next question. What advice do you have for accounting professionals looking to integrate more technology into their practices? So, we know that we just said there's a whole lot. So what kind of advice would you give to maybe have a little bit more discernment with this decision process?
Well, that's a good question. I think first is they have to really understand, I think, how your operations work, and then the technology should enhance your operations as opposed to replace your operations. And you can also, I don't know what the word is, but you can also have too much technology. Like, you just expect the technology to do everything for you, and you keep getting all this technology and you think it just should be automatic, and then it doesn't really work that way. So I think having a good understanding of how your operations work, and then start implementing technology into it little by little would be my advice.
That's good.
That reminds me of this one firm. God, what was it called? I don't even remember the name of it. But anyways, there was a firm that was like automated bookkeeping. And I have to Google it. But anyways, like, automated, it had lots of funding. It went through the process, and like, it was like too automated, and then it went under. I completely forgot the name of it, but like, it probably was correct, but there was also there needed some kind of human element to it. And so I think you need both. I always think technology should be an enhancement. It shouldn't be a replacement.
Good point.
So
good point. Yeah, I was gonna go to that. I was gonna say, do you coach on that as well? Because automation should be an enhancement. Like they say, AI and HI create EI. Artificial intelligence and human intelligence create enhanced intelligence. But you have to have the integration. You got to have the integration, because, like you just said, with that one company, you do too much. If you leave the human out of the loop, your company's going to be out of the loop soon.
Exactly. Yeah. I was actually kind of surprised, but then I was like thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Like, accounting, you need some confirmation from people, and some things aren't so cut and dry, especially in taxes. There's, the lower end taxes might be pretty straightforward, but once you start getting into businesses and start getting more complex things, that you can't fully eliminate the human element, nor do clients want the human element completely eliminated.
Henry, if you were like on stage, we had 1,000 people here, and there was 1,000 folks sitting down in a seat, and you were coming up to the stage, and you get ready to grab the mic, and you only had about 30 seconds. What would you say to these professionals that are sitting in these seats?
Oh man, that is a good question.
And actually, let's make it harder. Let's do 15 seconds.
Yeah. 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
You gotta, who are these people? Are they people that want to start their own firm, or they already have their own firms?
There you go. They're interested in starting their own firm, or they have their own firm, but they know that you are the guy who has this insight, and they came here to hear whatever the heck you had to say. Those are those people. And so,
Oh,
what would you say to them? You can take 30 seconds. You can take 30 seconds if you want. But my main thing is, what would you say to those folks?
yeah. I, I would just surround yourself with more forward-thinking CPAs. There's so much to learn out there. There's power in proximity, and learn, do, because we're still learning through this process.
Ooh, I like that. Learn, do. That's interesting. You said that learn, do. I'm glad you said it a couple times. Learn, do, learn, do. What that means for those who are listening is that when you learn something, then you put it into action, you put it into play, because that way you can get feedback. That's what machine learning really is. It's doing it, it's learning what's going on, what's good, bad, other in the other, and then it learns it. But it only learns it by doing it. So, and that's what
Yes.
wisdom is. Wisdom is the proper application of knowledge. So you have the knowledge, but now what are you going to do with it? That's the question. That's good.
Yeah. I mean,
That's good.
it's like in training, everybody's like, oh, should they like start with tax returns or should they learn how to do tax returns? I'm like, you got to do both. It doesn't really matter which one you start. You're going to like have them do the tax return, and then and then we'll teach them how to do the tax return, and then we'll have them do the tax return, and then we'll teach them how, like, it's a back and forth. Like, I don't know why people are like, oh, you should do this way, you should that way. I've seen people be successful doing both, like, but you have to constantly do it. And so with technology and AI, like, I'm doing the same thing. Like, I'm testing out. Honestly, I've been using ChatGPT, but I haven't gotten good at providing them the right prompts. And automation with I know some of my peers use Zapier, I think is what it's called, have been really successful. And then I just learned at the previous conference I was at, that when I was talking about Power Automate, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, there's so much stuff out there that could help me. I'm not like good enough, so I'm like looking for these little cheat sheets from them. But when I do learn it, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna do it until it does what I want it to do.
Very good. Very good. That's the process. That is the play, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're coming in for landing here. Last couple questions, Henry. All right, if you could simply automate one thing in your business life, what would that be?
Wow. If I could automate clients getting me their data, that'd be awesome. Like, for somehow it just goes from like maybe their QuickBooks or bank accounts, and it just flies into my portal of data, and then I'm like, awesome, that's exactly what I needed, and I didn't have to ask you for it. It just flew right in there.
Wow, Henry, you might have just had one of the easier ones. That's one of the easier ones. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, that's a big one though. Yeah, that's a big one because that's monotonous, and it's mundane. It's very repetitive, but it's structured. And anything structured with the right automation, oh my goodness, it can be a game changer. As a matter of fact, I'll send you some stuff that you can read through. It may give you some good ideas for you regarding that.
Oh,
that's
yeah, that'd be great. Man.
Good stuff. All right, Henry, so how about this, man? If we want to know, get your best piece of business advice and then your favorite quote.
Best business advice is, it's cliche, but you got to have the end in mind and figure out what you actually want. And one of my favorite quotes, I think, is to think big and start small.
Yeah,
I forgot who told me that, but yeah, like you got to think, like, I'm already thinking big numbers, but I got to start small. So, and a lot of it is, so
think big, start small. It means have a grand idea, but also put the plan in place. That's what we're talking about. Somebody said, close your eyes and dream, then open your eyes and see. Because there's always two things to it. Yeah? There's always two things
that was
to
good.
It. It's funny.
Yeah.
The person who said that, I don't want to say their name because they're doing bad things. They're getting caught up with some bad stuff. we may know he produced Bad Boy Records and Biggie Smalls back in the day. It's like I can't bring it. I'm sorry, but that was a good quote though. It was a good quote.
Yeah, it is.
You know who I'm talking about too. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. I mean, good advice. Sometimes your other actions may kind of cloud that quote a little bit.
And actually, before we leave, man, I'm glad you said that, because when it comes to doing business, this has been the best thing for me. LinkedIn not become opening up to video and allowing us to connect with other like-minded individuals over the last several years. But it's about that integrity, man. It's about, because people, they don't care about what you got, what you have, what you're selling. They want to know first, can they trust you? Most people, unless they're desperate, but most people they care about that. And so I know that's a big part of what you do and who you are. But how big is that in regards to building relationships? How big has that been for you? Because I want people who are listening to this, especially people who grind and go hard, to understand the value of building genuine relationships and being authentic. Have you noticed that being a plus, a benefit, or a perk during your experience, Henry?
Oh, absolutely. I just feel like I'm just who I am. That's just how I want to like run my life. And so that's how I just do business. And I get comments on that. They're like, I love how you're so honest, genuine, transparent. And I go,
Yeah.
like, is there like a different way? Like I'm I help people. I have clients' most personal information.
Right.
It's it's to my benefit to keep them as an ongoing client. And if I want
Mhm.
them as an ongoing client, a long-term client, I have to be honest with them. I have to have that trust. And so it I think it's a requirement in our industry, um, because you are working with their personal information, but it's also like it also what's the word I'm thinking of? Like it also helps with this profession. Like being
Mhm.
honest, transparent, and authentic just helps you um, succeed in this profession. So yeah, like I think if you're honest, authentic, transparent, um, you're gonna do well. But I will add, you got to learn some sales and marketing.
Oh, come on.
Oh my god, I
Yeah. You
I
got to.
wish I know so many accountants that are so intelligent, so authentic, so transparent, but they're missing the sales and marketing, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm still learning, but once I started learning about sales and marketing, it's really like kind of opened up the doors for me.
Yeah.
And so just another piece of advice for any accounts that have the technical abilities, is to learn some sales and marketing. You don't have to be like to the level of, I don't know, like a car salesperson or can sell, ice to an Eskimo by any means, but you have to understand the psychology, um, the words you use, how you present it, articulating the value, and listening. I mean, a lot of it's just asking questions and listening and just telling them what service that you provide that can help alleviate their problems.
Mm. Said it so well, man. Said it so well. Listening is the key. Listening is the key. That's why we have two ears and one mouth. One mouth. Twice as much listening. My grandmother hit me with that when I was younger. She said, "Boy, you got two ears and one mouth. You should be doing twice as much listening as talking." I was like, she got a point there.
She's right. I mean, I myself need to take that advice. My wife tells me all the time I talk too much.
Well, man, thanks for talking today, Henry. I appreciate you being on the show. What's the best way for people to get in contact with you? I'm going to put all your information, by the way, those who are watching this live on TikTok, LinkedIn, or Facebook, or YouTube. You will see Henry's information down in the description. And if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or any of those other hundreds of other networks you could be listening to, scroll on down to the description and you'll be able to connect with Henry there. But Henry, while you're talking, why don't you share with folks what's the best way for them to get in contact with you, and then anything else you have going on you want people to know about?
Yeah, the best way to contact me is going to be through LinkedIn. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn. If you want my email is also henry@chromecpa.com. What I have going on is like so cheesy, but I just feel like for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm just like living. Like I get to do what I want to do. I can work with any clients I want to work with. I can go on these things and share my true opinions on things. I can write whatever I want on LinkedIn. I get to spend time with my family. And I can make as much or as little money as I want. I
Mm,
mean, I wish people could, I don't know how long this feeling's gonna last, but like I just want people to at least once in a lifetime have this feeling where they're like, wow, I feel like I'm living. I get to do what I want. Like, like I have more than I need is really, I think, what it comes down to.
Love that, man. Love that. Humble heart and a diligent worker. Henry Huie, thanks for being with me on this podcast. Those who are listening, like I said, connect with Henry. He can help you with your taxes. He can help you understand business. He can help you. You worked with big businesses and you started your own business, so you've seen a lot. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life. I have worked for corporations and some nonprofit organizations. You get to see a lot when you work for big businesses and you run your own business. So connect with this gentleman. Henry, thanks for being with me.
Thank you so much, Rob, for having me.
Yeah. And folks, like I said, you don't know what you don't know. So you got to get around people who know more than you and then take action.
Exactly.
Till next
100%.
Automation nation, automation nation.